Hello, my beautiful people. It's Lena. I'm back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Live long and prosper. Let's do this. Star Trek Strange New Worlds episode Charades. Season 2, episode 5. Okay, so I'm a Trekkie. Proud of it. Don't care what anybody says. Love most iterations of Star Trek. I am becoming a lot more accustomed to this one, only because I'm accepting that this is a completely new timeline. So they're just going to places where no writer has gone before, changing history, timeline, stories, people, adding, deleting, meshing for all intents and purposes. So now that I've accepted this new timeline premise in some shape, or form, I actually enjoyed this episode. It was not the best scientific type of Star Trek, but then again, there's a lot of Star Trek out there in different shows that they have this type of humor, if you want to say, type of episode. There are parts of it that were just god awful stupid, but it actually put a smile on my face because I laughed. And I think also I'm coming off of watching two very bad shows, and I'm appreciating some show making me laugh. I'm watching The Idol, and I want to hurl, cry, scream, throw my eyeballs out and wash them and then put them back in. That's rough. I am watching And Just Like That, which is the sequel to Sex and the City, and that show's a nightmare. So when I go to Strange New Worlds, even if there's not an episode I don't fully enjoy, I have to tell you, at least it's giving me good feelings overall. It's not in the direction that I had wished that had started to go into, but it's better than Discovery, unfortunately. I'm sorry, but that's the lowest of the shows from the Star Trek history that I know at this point. So this one takes place where Spock becomes human from a shuttle accident that he was in with Nurse Chapel, and they met this alien race called the Kokerkians. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. And it's just like a bunch of light that is in the quadrant of going, I guess, to Vulcan at some point. So they got into a shuttle accident, and all of a sudden, Kirk, I'm sorry, I keep saying Kirk. This is a Freudian slip I have here. Spock wakes up in the medical bay and finds out that they changed him to become fully human versus his Vulcan, half human side. And he freaks out. He looks completely different. His eyebrows are not, and he doesn't have his ears, and his hair, God help him, didn't have a barber at that day too. So this was an interesting story arc for him, and probably my one con is that, well, there's a few of them, but there's some good pros too. So for me, this was such a huge part of Spock that I wish they would have done it as a two-parter. Yes, I know they're trying to do episodic, whatever, but because the season is just 10 episodes, and this is such a huge part and change and story, I think they could have done a service to him and just the series as a whole, that if they would have split this into two, where they could have really fleshed out this group of aliens that has this technology to repair people, plus the fact that Spock is becoming more aware of his human side, and his mother getting more involved. And they could have left the in-law situation for the second part. I think that just the fact that he had to understand what is the difference, who he is. Spock is so ingrained in us from the original series that even if you do this in a one episode thing, it's such a huge part of Spock. And they could have done a lot more with it than just trying to put it through one episode and then we'll go to the next one. Probably that's one of my major cons. Like, by the time it was over, I was like, all right, first of all, it was too predictable. It was too easy. And I pretty much knew where we were going with this, and then all of a sudden, you get the ending, which I'll explain in a few minutes. So in this whole process, there's no real subplots in this whole. It's really focusing on Spock and to praying and having the wedding. I guess the the engagement dinner with the in-laws, who the mom, of course, hates Spock. His mom comes on board, and first of all, she looks amazing. She's beautiful. God bless her. I hope that I age as well. Even she's younger than I am, believe it or not, and she looks amazing. Spock comes into the energizing room, and he's wearing the beanie, which is with the Star Trek logo. And I'm telling you, I swear to God, I was looking online. I would buy that and wear that all day long. I loved it. I think it's something that they should sell, to be honest with you. It's really cute. She takes her a few minutes to figure out that Spock is not Spock, which was kind of weird, but I get it. Pike, his whole story in this show is he's the wingman to Spock in trying to help him deal with his human side, trying to help him deal with his in-laws. He is the chef during this party. I think the thing also with this season is that because Anson was not able to film as many episodes as he could because he was on paternity leave because he has a child now, this is like a filler episode. I'm sorry, season. The entire season. It's like it has cute little things happening here and there. But in essence, it's not cohesive. You could tell that there's a big hole missing, which is Pike, for me at least. And I still don't even know where the engineer is. I mean, they brought in Carol Kane, and now she's like MIA, and like she's gonna pop in the next episode. It's like it's very weird, especially when you watch so many other Star Treks, and you see the consistency in the actual team. I just feel like this team is just a little bit scattered. I don't know if I'm the only one that's feeling this. So they're really pushing this Nurse Chapel Spock romance, which to me is still too soon. I'm still trying to understand the relationship between him and T'Pring. This is the woman that in the timeline is going to inevitably kill or try to kill him in, I'm going to say, I think a decade from now. So I would like to see a little bit more fleshed out characters. I still don't know who is the full team on the on the deck. Like I only know Uhura's there, Pike sometimes is there, Spock is there, and the plane, the driver. Like I can't even remember her name, and I know she plays a big role in this series too. But you get me, like I'm beginning to feel like I'm missing pieces of people. Because they keep trying to bring in other young adult storylines. I think that's my problem. This is a very young adult story show. I hope I'm not offending anyone, only because I'm a big fan of Star Trek as a whole, and I just feel that we could do a little bit less of the young adult and a little bit more of the Star Trek scientific side, but still put the humor in. I think they're just not blending it well. I love Pike that he cooks. I know a lot of people don't like it, but this was one of those episodes where they had a lot of downtime, so he was trying to teach Spock about food and cooking, and Spock can't smell anything because he has no smell inhibitors, because he just, as a race, Vulcans believe, and they sense that the smell of humans is very annoying to them, so they wear that. So that was cute. When he becomes human, he is much more animated, if that makes any sense. But they look like they're having a good time, and that's important. Ethan Peck just went ham. He went crazy. He laughed, and he was just like, they told him to take this role and run with it, which was great to see, and that's part of it that made me laugh. I didn't enjoy the whole anger sequence of him getting angry at Sam Kirk about the food and him having to clean up his mess, though it was disgusting, to be honest with you. And I didn't know that they were allowed to eat in the ready room when they were meeting. It was kind of weird because I think he's the only one that actually had a plate of coffee and whatever breadcrumbs or whatever the hell he had. The whole OCD, you know, he had to get really, really angry. I mean, yes, he's exploring his feelings so he doesn't have control of them, but it was just a weird arc for that part. I was like, okay. Him hugging Nurse Chapel because she looked like she needed a hug was awkward, to say the least. But again, I think they just let him go and take this role and run with it. Watching him enjoy bacon was hilarious, but he is vegan, so in theory, the actual character, not Ethan. I feel like they made him more like he had amnesia than curiosity. Like the whole scene of Uhura, I think it was definitely Uhura, it was Luann, and I can't remember the third person, was trying to teach him how to be a Vulcan, how to speak like a Vulcan. Again, it was more like he had amnesia than he had just suppressed his Vulcan, like they removed the Vulcan side of him. Like, don't you remember like how you were? Like, it was very strange. There's a point where his mom comes aboard and she finds out what happens, and she has to train him how to be more Vulcan-like because of the, you know, engagement, you know, party that's going to happen in a very short amount of time. So the only part I didn't understand is when she was teaching him how to touch the hot kettle of water for the tea. He jumped and said this was scalding hot when he touched the kettle, and then she goes in, the mom, and touches it, and because she's been on Vulcan so long, she was able to suppress her pain from touching the kettle. Okay, but does she not have skin? Are we skinless now in the 24th century? Do we not feel? I mean, you may be able to not scream, but shouldn't your hands and fingers be falling off and melting? I mean, I go next to a kettle and I'm like, ah, you know, and all of a sudden this chick is just picking up the kettle, and, you know, and Spock is like, well, how the hell are you doing that? And I'm thinking, yeah, scientifically, how are you doing that? Maybe emotionally wise, I can figure it out, but scientifically, shouldn't there be a smell of, I don't know, flesh burning? Just saying. Just seems weird. That was weird. And then we have the in-laws come in. I was not impressed by them at all. The father was very subservient to the mom. The mom was being a bitch because she didn't like Spock and she doesn't like humans. Very, very tropey, typical in-law crap. Nothing surprised me about these two at all. Nothing. Like that whole ceremony thing, they could have done away with it and I would have been just as happy. I just was not impressed by it. Nurse Chapel goes back to the light people. I'm going to say people. I don't know what they are, but they're people-ish, light, just floating around, to try to get back the scientific method, or get them to change Spock back to being Vulcan, because she knows that if she can't figure it out, he's going to remain that way for the rest of his life, and that's not an option. At this point, it was just, for me, I was like, all right, lazy writing. And maybe someone can explain to me this part where she goes and she meets the two light people. One is supposed to be yellow and one is supposed to be blue, but both of them are blue. Like, I didn't get that. Like, shouldn't yellow be yellow and blue be blue? Not both of them be blue? Maybe there's like a secret reference in there that I wasn't picking up on, that I didn't get. Like, is this an inside joke that I'm not aware of? Because you're supposed to be twins, I guess, and people can't tell you apart, maybe, and they just named you different colors, but you're not actually different colors. I don't know, maybe that's the reference that I missed, but I was just like, really? You couldn't do a yellow? I mean, there's people watching this, you know, like, come on. And Ho having to divulge her feelings about Spock to get this yellow, blue, to agree to have him change back to what he originally was just stupid. You know, she tells Uhura and Luann to look away. They're literally there. Look, here's my finger. This is where they were, and this is where I am. Like, what was that for? And she has to express to them, her yellow, what she feels in order to convince her. I keep saying her. It's yellow, the light yellow, but it's blue. To what her feelings are. Okay, so we go back to the ceremony of hell, because to me, I would have been like, you need to go, because you tell me my mom smells, and I don't like you. And that would have been the human me, okay? There's a part where he has to do the Vulcan mind meld, and he has to repeat back what was the mind meld that was given to him when he saw his mom. He's unable to perform this task because he cannot read minds anymore because he's human. I just knew that by the time he had to step up, this is where the charades come. Because I thought charades was actually the fact that he's, impersonating this whole I'm a Vulcan in front of the in-laws. Pike, the ever so handsome wingman who cooked for these people, and the in-law was an ingrate about it. I don't understand this whole Vulcan thing. If you have no feelings, why are you a bitch? Why are you a bitch? Why you have feelings about this? It's not logical. Just shut up and eat the damn food, woman. That's what I didn't understand. Like, I get that they were transformed in the show Enterprise, where you could tell that they were not the nicest group of people. But my God, you're calling this, there was a point where she walks in and she says, I can smell this. And she was inferring that she smelled Spock's mom. I'm like, I would have been like, bitch, stop. You're a Vulcan. It's not logical. That's my rant. Sorry, I was a con. So Pike was cooking, and he cooked all of their delicacies. And the husband enjoyed it. And then when the wife says you're not supposed to, then he doesn't enjoy it. And I'm like, right, they're making her super, super annoying. And there was just this whole party scene where before it's time for Spock to do the Vulcan mind meld on his mom, Pike says there's a human tradition called charades. And I was like, oh, that's cute. Unnecessary, but cute. The charades lasted for a second because the Vulcan father-in-law picked up the sign, which was ear. I'm like, really? So by the time Spock was about to do the Vulcan mind meld, Chapel comes in, rescues him, shoots him with the drug that helps him to get back to being Vulcan, right before he's about to profess his feelings to her. And all of a sudden, it happens instantaneously, except for the ears, of course. He goes back to the engagement of hell, and he's able to read his mom's thoughts. And at all of this, there's one thing, and it's because I'm a mom. I've always enjoyed his feelings towards his mother. You picked up on some of it in TOS, the original series. They extended it in the J.J. Abrams Kelvin timeline, which then they killed her. And you could just tell that he has a special connection to his mom. Okay. That probably was the best part of the whole engagement from hell party. He is able to read her thoughts. It's a very simple thought about her taking him to school. And yet again, the mother-in-law complains about it. T'Pring stands up and says you shouldn't, make any judgment on someone's memories. And I'm like, okay, can we get rid of these people? Like, seriously, I wish this was a 2-part episode just to really go through the Spock arc the right way, and then throw these people at the end of the second episode at the last 10-15 minutes, because I was just bored out of my brains. I was like, yeah, I've seen this before. I know this. I know where this is going. At the end, they accept him. Again, are you surprised? I wasn't. So everybody's safe. The day is saved. That's what I'm saying. Like, it was cute for young adult, but there's no risk, and I'm probably going to not be the most popular person saying this. I'm actually rewatching Discovery season 2, Pike, which is one I did enjoy the most, of course. But there's something about that whole Discovery that It may have not been the greatest show, and probably in a couple of years, people are going to revisit it and actually enjoy it a little bit more, the same way with Enterprise. But I have noticed something about Discovery that was starkly different than most of Strange New Worlds. It kept me guessing. I actually didn't know how they were going to resolve this whole Spock sister situation. Never in my mind did I understand how this was going to get done, which kept me going back, because a lot of the storylines were so different that I had no idea how they were going to fix this. Like, it was very interesting. The storylines, some of them were stupid, but it kept me intrigued. Like, I'm like, how are you going to resolve this? How is this going to work? Like, is she going to go back? Is she going to, like, what's happening? And even when they did what they did to try to resolve it and, send her to another, was it like 400 centuries, in the future with half the crew, I still didn't know where the story was going. I didn't enjoy a lot of the episodes because at the end the writing was stupid, but it kept me interested, and it kept me going. And I actually think the actors were they had some hell of a good actors in there. They really did. They really did. And so the Strange New Worlds. I actually believe that all of the actors there, for the ones that they do put in the forefront, are really well. They do well. I just think that the writing needs to step up a little bit more, and really, hopefully and this is unfortunate because I don't know how this momentum is going to last, because now we have a writer strike and now we have an actor strike. So by the time everything gets back into swing and production and back on air, it may take more than a year. And who knows what's going to happen between now and then, because if they don't start production and they don't start writing, it takes a while to get everything up to speed. So this is it. This is the last season that we're going to see in a very long time. It's only been 2 seasons, 20 episodes, That's one season of Discovery. I can sit down and watch Discovery, and it's 4 seasons, 15 to 20 episodes, and I can, see it for at least 5 days if I want to. And that goes for a lot of these shows. I just think that there's so much to tell in this story that they need to, I hope, reevaluate next, whenever that's going to happen, season, and really put the pedal to the metal and start really doling out some interesting storylines, longer episodes per season, and really start bringing that momentum up and bringing the interest in, because they have the ability to do this. They're going to stick to this alternate timeline thing. Okay, great. But you have good actors. You just need really good storylines, and going back and changing timelines and, doing stuff like that is eventually going to get old, and people are going to get bored, because a lot of the Star Trek fans, the real fans, are not enjoying this. I mean, some of the hate videos I've seen on this is really crazy. I mean, they have all the right to have their opinion, like I do. This is my opinion. Whether you accept it or not, that's your business. But, I haven't jumped ship yet, because I did it with Enterprise and I regret it. I'm rewatching Discovery, and I might rewatch the entire season again just to get back into the swing of it. It didn't end well, but you know what? It could be one of those shows again, like I said, in about 4 or 5 years, people are going to go back and appreciate it. But Strange New Worlds, it has such a core fan base and has such an ability to tell such a unique story. I hope that it picks up the momentum and it picks up on the storytelling and the writing, and people really get involved, because, oh my God, those actors are phenomenal. They really are. And that's why I enjoy watching it. I may not like how everything turns out, but when I watch them, I actually enjoy watching them. And I hope that makes sense to everybody who's listening out there in, Star Trek showrunner rooms and stuff like that, that the fans fight for this. Because this is cute, little young adult, but you need to pick up the pace a little bit and pick up the science and pick up the track and pick up the whole, give us a good story arc for all of these people and give us some juice, because I feel like we're missing some juice in here. So, I liked it. It is not my favorite, but I will go back to it and watch it again. I have hope. There's 5 more episodes left, which saddens me because I feel like, I don't know, I don't think Pike is in a lot of them again. So I'm hoping the stories are good, but let's see. I am hopeful because that's what Trek is about, having hope, right? Thank you, everyone, for watching. Have a wonderful, blessed day and live long and prosper. Bye.